Members, a quorum is not present. Some of our colleagues have fled the state in their duty. They've left the state, abandoned their posts, and turned their backs on the constituents they swore to represent.
We are under no illusion about how dangerous this could be and what risk it holds for all of us. We are doing this to save the state.
If you don't like a bill, like any other bill, there's a button on your desk to vote no.
We will run the clock out on this special session. As far as we're concerned, this special session is over.
Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Jack Fink, and welcome to Eye on Politics. We're at the Texas Capitol because this is where a political showdown is taking place, hardball politics between Texas Republicans and Democrats over redistricting mid-decade. This has made national headlines because this fight has nationwide implications over the balance of power in Congress in next year's midterm elections and beyond. Speaker Dustin Burrows has scheduled a House session at 1 p.m. tomorrow after Democrats broke quorum 3 times last week. That prevented the House from establishing a quorum so they could vote on the new congressional maps in Texas that would give Republicans 5 extra seats at the expense of Democrats. The House needs 100 members to show up for quorum, but while that didn't happen, they did get close. Most of the Democrats flew to other states, meeting with Democratic governors in Illinois, New York, Massachusetts, and California on Friday. They want those states, which are run by Democrats, to change their congressional maps too, to neutralize Republicans' efforts here in Texas to give Republicans more seats in Congress. Republican State Representative Jeff Leach of Allen expressed frustration over the Democrats' moves.
Absolutely, it bothers me, and it bothers the people of Texas, too. I wish it bothered our Democrat colleagues more, that they seem to be spending more time in blue states like Illinois, New York, and now California.
On Friday, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed an emergency lawsuit with the Texas Supreme Court to remove 13 House Democrats from office. They include 4 Democrats from North Texas, Ana Maria Rodriguez Ramos, Jessica Gonzalez, and Mihaela Plisa, all of Dallas, and Chris Turner of Grand Prairie.
This is just more bluster and rhetoric from, Abbott, Paxton, my Democratic colleagues, and I are fulfilling our legislative duties by exercising our right to break quorum and stop consideration of this discriminatory redistricting map.
Here at the Texas Capitol, Speaker Burrows signed civil arrest warrants for all of the Democratic lawmakers who left the state. Burrows also met with Texas DPS leaders and DPS agents, then went actively searching for House Democrats who may still have been in Texas to bring them back to the Capitol so they could reach a quorum and hold session. The Attorney General also filed a lawsuit against former Congressman Beto O'Rourke and his organization, Powered by People, in Tarrant County Court. Paxton accused O'Rourke and his group of illegal fundraising to pay for Democrats to leave Texas to break quorum. O'Rourke said Paxton wants to make examples out of those who fight so that others won't, and O'Rourke said he's not going anywhere. The court did issue a temporary restraining order against O'Rourke and Powered by People late Friday afternoon. Earlier last week, Governor Abbott filed an emergency petition with the Texas Supreme Court to remove State Representative Gene Wu of Houston. He's the House Democratic Caucus chairman who is leading Democrats on this quorum break. Wu filed his response with the Texas Supreme Court Friday. We interviewed Wu about the governor's petition against him last week.
I thought it couldn't be real, that this is just absolute insanity. I have very few words about how dumb this is.
And so I know you issued a very big statement. The governor accused you of basically forfeiting and abandoning your office because you have left and you've led the other Democratic members as caucus chair to leave the state, break quorum, et cetera. So how do you respond to that? Are you abandoning your office?
Well, it's not my office, and it's sure as hell not Governor Abbott's office. This office belongs to the people of the state of Texas. And I have taken an oath to defend those people and to protect them. And when Governor Abbott conspires with a disgraced president to use unconstitutional illegal racial gerrymandering to strip power away from communities who have spent decades building up their strength, building up their voice, building up their power, to only to have it stripped away by Donald Trump. That's not going to happen under my watch. We're here to deny this corrupt government their ability to destroy our communities. I'm here defending my community and doing my job to the absolute best of my ability.
I know that the Texas Constitution allows for quorum breaking. It's in the Texas Constitution, but at the same time, it also allows for quorum enforcing. And the language is even basically saying that the Texas House and the Texas Senate have the authority to physically restrain members and bring them back to the Texas Capitol, those that are within the state of Texas. And so I'm wondering, are you going to be returning to the Texas Capitol by this next deadline that was set today by Speaker Dustin Burrows for Friday at 1 p.m.?
So they can do whatever they want to do. In fact, the ball is really in their court. We have said that we are going to end this corrupt special session. We will make this known to the entire state to warn the people of what they're doing and how corrupt it is. And what happens after that? What happens after that is up to them. What happens after that is up to them to decide whether they want to continue this corruption or whether they will do what the people have asked them to do. That's not up to us. That's up to them. They're in charge of the state. The Republicans have been in charge of the state for 30 years.
You are not going to be returning to Texas by 1 p.m. Friday to the Capitol.
I think I'll say it the way that Barbara Gervin Hawkins, the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, said it best. Hell no.
Republican state representatives, including Katrina Pierson of Rockwall, applauded the governor's move.
I think that this is probably the best thing that happened for the Texas GOP, considering I'm on the redistricting committee. I went all over the state. We heard testimony, several hours of testimony from people all over the state that were complaining about the current map. And the proposed map actually addresses the majority of the concerns. And that is what is reaching national attention now, because the irony is that Democrats have fled to states like Illinois and New York, and these are the states that have already done this. And so it puts a spotlight really on them and their inability to stay and do their jobs. We have a constitutional obligation here. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't like a bill, like any other bill, there's a button on your desk to vote no. Instead, they chose to flee the state, backing up all of the other important legislation that we are trying to address, like legislation for the flood victims and lowering property taxes.
I also want to ask you about what Governor Abbott filed, this emergency petition to remove the Texas House Democratic Caucus Chair, Jean Wu, from office. I saw on social media you agreed with that. Why is that?
We are constitutionally required to be here. So pulling political stunts like that is not representing your districts. These guys are fleeing for political purposes, and there should be accountability.
Let me ask you, though, because the Texas Constitution does allow for quorum breaking. Isn't that a valid defense?
Well, not only does the Constitution do all kinds of things, but there are also consequences outlined within the law. So here we are at a showdown at the state level, and they don't want to do that because they don't want to face the truth, Jack. The truth is that minorities in the state are trending Republican, and that is what's actually being highlighted. And that's why I say it's probably the best thing that ever happened for us.
I know some lawmakers have already filed bills that would basically, if lawmakers don't show up for a consecutive amount of days, I think one of the bills said 7 days, that they in fact could be removed from office that way, and so make it a state law. Is that something that you would support?
I would absolutely support that. Again, you know, we are not paid the big bucks to do this, and people have jobs and they have families. So when you sign up for this, you are signing up to exercise a duty, and you take an oath to the Constitution, and you need to show up to fulfill those duties. We have serious issues that we need to address with regards to the floods in this state. I mean, the whole country saw the devastation that Texas faced, and we should be addressing that today. But instead, Democrats are playing racial politics, and stopping the process.
And as far as the map, why do you think this is the right move for Texas?
Well, it's political, the way the state has been trending politically, and that is the law. We even had lawyers who testified who could not dispute the law. And again, the other states have already done this. Texas is just catching up.
Coming up, the fight over redistricting is not just political, but personal for two Democratic members of Congress from North Texas. When Eye on Politics from the Texas Capitol comes right back. Welcome back to Eye on Politics from the Texas Capitol. This political fight between Republicans and Democrats over redistricting centers around the newly drawn congressional maps in Texas. You're looking at the current congressional districts in Texas, and there are 25 seats held by Republicans, shown in red, and 13 seats held by Democrats, in blue. Watch what happens now when we show you the new statewide map of the districts drawn by Texas Republican lawmakers who are seeking 5 new seats for the GOP. There's obviously more red on the map, with 2 Democratic seats from South Texas, 1 from Houston, 1 from Austin, and 1 from North Texas that would now become Republican majority. And when you zero in on the congressional seats in North Texas, there are 3 districts held by Democrats right now. But under the new map, there would be 2 seats held by Democrats. Let's take a look at the existing 32nd congressional district, largely in Dallas County, represented by Democrat Julie Johnson. Under the new map, the 32nd congressional district would become Republican and extend to far east Texas. Now, the 33rd congressional seat, it's held by Democrat Marc Veasey and is in Tarrant and Dallas counties. But under the new map, this seat would only be in Dallas County. Keep in mind, Veasey lives in Tarrant County. And while this would still be a Democratic majority seat, it would become a majority Latino district. We spoke with Congressman Veasey about the new map.
Yep, that's right. I live in Fort Worth, not far from where you actually work. And so obviously that is a little problematic for me. I'm going to be looking at all options as far as which congressional district I can run in. So I'm not taking anything off the table. But I think that what Republicans are doing right now, firstly, is disgusting. There was a flood that we had in Central Texas that needs to be solely addressed, and then you should move to other topics. There's no way that flood should be on the same call with redistricting, because when you talk about redistricting, you can't get around it. It's about race. It's about politics. It is about the worst of the worst.
You said all options are on the table, and I wanted to ask you, what are you considering? Because this would become a majority Hispanic district, and do you worry that if you run for that, you're going to face a serious primary challenge? Or, where else would you consider looking to run?
Yeah, not really even thinking about that right now, because honestly, I'm focused in on this fight. I'm trying to push back against this discrimination that the Republicans have put into this map, this blatant discrimination. I'm worried about the neighborhood that I grew up in Fort Worth. My family grew up in Como and in Stop 6. And, while I get along well with my Republican colleagues that would represent parts of East Fort Worth, they're not going to want to represent the community. They're never going to be seen. Phil King, who's in the state Senate that represents Southeast Fort Worth, Phil King grew up over here. Phil King also grew up not far from where your station is headquartered. He doesn't come out here and do any events because he doesn't have to. And so the neglect and the racism that are drawn into these lines is the thing that really worries me the most. I got a YMCA reopened in East Fort Worth that was sorely needed for that neighborhood. And there is no way that any of my current colleagues would put in for community funding grants or community funding projects in the appropriations bill that would do something like reopen a YMCA. And then the other thing that I don't like too is I don't believe in changing the rules in the middle of the game. You draw the lines at the beginning of the decade.
I asked Congresswoman Julie Johnson about her new district map and what she plans to do about it.
Well, I just think the whole process is really unfortunate and terrible that the Republicans are marching down this road. You know, it clearly demonstrates how underwater they are with the Trump policies and what Republicans have voted for, cutting all these people off of Medicaid and SNAP and what they're doing immigration wise and just all the things. And so they're having a desperate attempt to try to alienate and marginalize voters. And I was very disappointed to see what they're doing. But you know, what it matters to my personal seat really doesn't matter. This is about what happens to national Democrats and what's happening in our state and the fact that, you know, Abbott is so willing to bend the knee to Trump.
If these maps are approved, what are you going to do? Are you going to run in this new 32nd congressional district, or then do you have to find yourself and saying, all right, are you going to challenge Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne in the 24th district? Are you going to challenge Congressman Marc Veasey in the 33rd district? His seat would move to Dallas County.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now, Jack, we're focusing on killing the maps. And we're focusing on making sure that the scheme that the Republicans have to try to steal some seats doesn't actually ultimately happen. And that is the sole source of my focus. And also, the maps haven't passed the legislature yet. One of the things that I have learned from being a member of the Texas legislature is bills are rarely come out the way they come in. And so we'll have to see what the ultimate final map looks like, if they make any amendments or changes to it. And then we'll just take a good look. I'll get with my team and with my family. We'll make some decisions about what we're going to do. But right now, that's a little premature for me. Right now, we're focusing on killing these maps. Right now, I have the 32nd congressional district in its current form, and it has not been officially altered yet. So that's what I'm running for. And if the maps do pass, then we'll just take a good hard look at all of our options.
Republicans have said that the Democrats have been doing this, have been gerrymandering their states, California, New York, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, et cetera. And now they're upset because Texas Republicans are catching up and playing offense now. What do you say to that?
Oh, I don't think that's accurate. I think California, they've had independent commissions. You know, they've had independent agencies drawing their maps, not purely partisan. If California was doing purely partisan gerrymandering, they'd have 52 Democratic seats and 0 Republican seats.
Republican Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne of the 24th Congressional District in North Texas says she supports the newly drawn maps.
Where you're hearing this, they've already done it. And so for them to kind of raise up their hands and get upset with the state of Texas for playing by their rules is just dishonest, it's disingenuous, and it's completely hypocritical.
This redistricting battle in Texas has certainly made national headlines, and now it has prompted leaders of other states to consider redrawing their congressional maps too. Sarah Jenkins has this week's brief.
The Texas redistricting debate has triggered a nationwide domino effect, prompting both Republicans and Democrats in other states to consider mid-decade redrawing of district lines. Democratic-led states like California, New Jersey, Illinois, Maryland, and New York are assessing their options for potential mid-cycle redistricting, though New York's governor indicates any changes might not take effect until 2028. On the Republican side, states like Florida, Missouri, Indiana, and Ohio are closely monitoring the situation, with Ohio needing to redraw its districts after the 2022 maps failed to get bipartisan support. State leaders in Illinois and Massachusetts have vowed to support Texas Democrats as Governor Abbott ordered state troopers to help find and arrest the Democrats who left the state, although lawmakers physically outside Texas are beyond the jurisdiction of state authorities. For The Brief, I'm Sarah Jenkins.
Up next from Austin, there's another political battle going on right now, this one between Republicans. We'll tell you about it coming up when Eye on Politics returns. During this showdown between Texas Republicans and Democrats, there's been another battle going on, raging between two GOP heavyweights, Senator John Cornyn and Attorney General Ken Paxton over Cornyn's Senate seat. The two have been taking shots at each other over social media. After Governor Abbott filed a petition to remove Representative Wu from office, Senator Cornyn had this to say on X, quote, "Guess the Attorney General was too busy doing who knows what overseas, so the governor had to use his own lawyers." When Paxton said he would take action against the Democrats Friday if they don't return to the Capitol, Cornyn said, quote, "Why wait until Friday, Ken Paxton? Are you worried that forcing Dems to return to Texas would ruin your European vacation?" In a post of his own, Paxton said, quote, "I think I know why John Cornyn is obsessively posting about me." He retweeted a poll showing him 13 percentage points ahead of Cornyn in a GOP primary poll. Paxton also retweeted a post in which Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett said Cornyn was bipartisan. And Paxton said, quote, "I'm Ken Paxton, and I approve this message." Cornyn's campaign posted on X, quote, "Senator John Cornyn equals Trump's point man in the Senate." Paxton responded by saying, quote, "Is this a satire account?" We are still in August, and the primary is 7 months away in March. Remember, you can watch all of our full interviews on our CBS Texas YouTube page, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button. That's all for a very busy Eye on Politics from the Texas Capitol this week. I'm Jack Fink. I am listening, and we are listening to you at CBS News Texas. I want to thank my colleague Ken Molesina for filling in for me while I was on vacation for the past several weeks. I'll be back again next week. Thank you for watching, and from all of us here, have a great Sunday.